Hi, I'm Mike from Michael's Motor Cars, located in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and I have an interesting car I'd like to show you. Come on over and take a look at it. This car is a relisting on Bring a Trailer, so please take the time and look at the previous listing, read all of the comments on it, look at all of the photographs, and then please take the time to listen to this video that I'm doing today. This car is a 1956 Austin-Healey 100M. It is one of the original factory-built 100M cars. We do have the Heritage Trust certificate that comes with the car, and that of course will be sold with the car. The car was built in March 15th, 1956. These are the original colors of the car. It was Reno red with a black cove. It did apparently have a red interior originally, now that is black, and the top to the car is still black. And it also says in the Heritage Trust factory 100M Le Mans car. Further, this car is also registered with the 100M Le Mans registry. We have the certificate of membership and all of the other documentation that comes with this, showing that it is a true factory car. So we also have an older original owner's manual that comes with the car. It's kind of cool. So the early history on this car, which we were able to determine from the previous owner who we acquired the car from, it was owned by a William Caudell of Houston, Texas. He then sold it to Martin Hilscher, also of Texas. And then Martin had passed away 2001, and it was sold to Avalon Motors, and then eventually sold to BMC Classics out of Florida. And the car received a thorough restoration in 2001 and 2002 by Harold Bradner, who had done a number of these cars, who did these cars in Florida. In 2003, it was sold by Harold to James Hawks, which is who I purchased the car from. So he had owned it since 2003. He actually had 3 Austin-Healeys, 2 factory M's, and a 3000. All of the cars were kept in climate-controlled aircraft hangars because he also had a collection of vintage airplanes. So this car is in virtually the same condition it was in 2003 when the extensive restoration was completed on the car. In the earlier Bring a Trailer auction, I go over all the details of the car, and please reference those, and we have a lot of photographs of this car. It does have all of the correct 100M things that it should have. It has a correct front louvered steel hood with the serial number stamped on it. It does have the correct original bonnet or trunk lid in the back, the boot, with, again, the correct number stamped in the supporting rod attachment. All 4 of the cockpit surrounds have the etched numbers of the VIN. It is a numbers matching car, so the engine is the correct engine that was originally with the car. 2 things, it does have 100M carburetors. They do not have the etching on them, which may have been removed during the restoration process. It's difficult to tell. And it does not have the correct 100M ignition distributor. So those 2 things are not correct to a 100M. Everything else is on the car. Now, what happened in the last Bring a Trailer auction, about an hour and a half before the end of the auction, it was noticed that the upper spring mounts on the car, which are welded to the frame, are from a BN1 frame. Also, inner fender well skirts on the inside have a ridge on them, a strengthening rib, which was also indicative of a BN1 frame. So we worked with Bring a Trailer, and they were very gracious and worked with us. We were allowed to pause the auction, and we did more research on this car, which we have completed, which I'm now going to describe, and we are going to relist the car, describing it for what we have found out about this car and what we feel it is. We brought in a number of concours judges who physically looked at the car in person. Also, Ed Sweeney of Proper Noise came and inspected the car again. We used a bore scope, we looked at the frame, and we consulted a number of people who are experts with Austin-Healeys and restorations. The conclusion we have is it does appear that it has a BN1 frame. Austin-Healey did not stamp, there are no numbers on the frames, and a BN1 frame is identical to a BN2 frame except for some things that were welded onto it. So it's impossible to tell by the frame rails alone BN1 or BN2. What we have determined, though, It appears to be BN1 because of these inner fender wells and because of the spring seats. We also noticed when you open the doors, there is a hole where the doorstop goes through, right here on the bulkhead of the car. And this car has the oval hole, which would be indicative of BN2. However, that change actually occurred in late 1954. So that means that assuming that that is original to the frame of the car, it appears that it is a late BN1 frame. There is also in the firewall of the car, the early BN1s, they screwed everything in. Later ones, they started welding nuts on the inside to receive the screws. This firewall is a combination. It has some welded nuts, but not all of them. So again, trying to do the research and determine with a factory that was constantly changing things, what is it? But the conclusion we have is it appears that when this car was restored, for whatever reason, they chose a late BN1 frame and then put everything onto it that is BN2. The rear axle, all the suspension pieces, the brakes, specifically the front brakes, which are larger for the 100M and the BN2s, are all BN2, and the car carries all of the original factory 100M that it came with from the factory. We also obtained from the previous owner, he went searching and found this for us. He had a CD disc of when the car was restored by Harold, and we are uploading all of those photos. They show the frame as it was prepped and it was already painted and ready to receive everything. You see the body panels where they did extensive work, which was typical on the old Healeys, where they, back here in the dog leg, the fitment of the doors, leather interior, everything was installed in the car and done to a very high quality level. The restoration on this car was beautifully done. I also want to show you towards the back of the car, and this was in the original listing of the car. We have a complete tonneau cover, we have a complete top, and all of this is in like new condition. It basically has been static for all of these years. The car also does have the vinyl covered dashboard, which was a factory option. So that is correct. A 100M could have received the vinyl covered dashboard. And that's the way this car is. And it looks great on the car. We also have back here new side windows, side curtains for the car, which have, I think, never been used. In their cover, we have an original toolkit for the car, and we have a complete cover for the car. During our work on the car in preparing it for resale, we had the car serviced by Proper Noise, had everything checked on the car. We also put a set of brand new Vredestein tires on the car, and I can tell you today, it runs and drives beautifully. Ed Sweeney had commented, and he services a number of these cars, this was the best running 100M he's encountered. So very strong running car. So we have relisted the car. We have set, I believe, a very realistic reserve for this car. It is being sold with all of the documentation that comes with it. It's being sold on a Pennsylvania title, so it can be shipped overseas or anywhere. I think it is a car that it is a factory 100M. Because of the earlier frame under the car, 54 or newer, on a car that was built in 56, it's a car that you can buy and have a hell of a lot of fun with. I would be neat if someone would buy this car and just drive the wheels off of it and use it in events and drive it and have fun with it for someone who's always wanted a real factory 100M. So please ask us any questions you may have. We'll be happy to answer them. We'll be happy to take more photographs. I think this will be a very interesting car to sell. I can tell you the condition of the car is very high today and the drivability is excellent. So thanks for taking the time to listen to all of this, and please ask us any questions you may have. Thank you.